Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, and welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal podcast.
You gotta light them up before they burn it down. Better dig deep and put them in the ground. Blood on their hands, they're hellbound. Save us all. Ooh, they're gonna burn it down. Save us all before they burn it down.
This episode of the Steadfast and Loyal podcast is brought to you by our friends at the United States Concealed Carry Association. The USCCA is about something bigger than the right to bear arms. It is a resource to help you be ready for the before, during, and after of a self-defense incident. If you are not one of the 500,000 plus responsibly armed Americans who are proud USCCA members, then now is the time to explore USCCA membership. Click Learn More below right now to learn about the life-saving education, industry-leading training, and self-defense liability insurance. Click Learn More right now. And once again, as a reminder, the USCCA is not an insurance company. A policy has been issued to the USCCA by Universal Fire and Casualty Insurance Company. That policy provides the association and its members with self-defense liability insurance subject to its terms, conditions, and exclusions, limitations and exclusions. And remember, with your USCCA membership, you get the really cool Concealed Carry magazine. This is the February-March edition of 2023. So again, click Learn More, join the United States Concealed Carry Association. We'll be right back. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steadfast and Loyal podcast. You know, we had spoken with Kathy May before when we were discussing all of these books that were being found in these libraries here. And of course, they came after her pretty hard, but, you know, she stuck to her gun. So I thought it was a great opportunity to get Kathy May back in because we're in the 88th legislative session here in the state of Texas. And a lot of these things are coming up as far as, you know, taking care of our children and make sure we don't have these gender mutilation surgeries and getting all of this pornographic books out of the library. So Kathy, welcome back, and tell us how the Keller ISD parents are doing here and standing up for what's right and what's true.
We're doing great. I mean, we are, some of us are becoming very connected in Austin, and I went down to Austin and I spoke on behalf of HB 900.
House bill.
Yes, and it was about pornographic materials in schools, and it was Jared Patterson's bill, and it was pretty much cutting off the head of the snake, which are the distributors.
Yeah.
Like in Keller, we stopped these books from coming in because we flipped our board. So our board has created a rubric. We actually even got rid of gender ideology books coming into our school too. But I went down there and spoke, and if we can stop these distributors from distributing these books, then I believe it will change the country, and I believe that it will change the way that authors will write, and they'll have to think a little bit harder before they write these books.
Now, does Representative Patterson's legislation, is there some type of punitive measures that come down on these distributors? What is the carrot and the stick that make sure that they aren't doing this and promulgating these books in our school libraries?
They're pretty much, he is putting it on them that they have to view the books and screen them before we purchase them.
Okay.
That's what's happening.
Now, if those books are in school libraries, who's held accountable? Is it the school librarian? Someone has to be held accountable if somehow it slips under the radar.
That I'm not sure. I know that right now, even though that we flipped our board, we have this new rubric. The new rubric works for all books. So books coming into the district and books that are on the shelf. The issue that we're finding is that there are still books on the shelf that are still sitting there, and it's taking us parents to have to find them.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like examples.
There was I Am Jazz is still there. So we challenged that last week. There was a book, I forget the name of it. It was all about boners.
Not exactly
Yeah, it was all about boners. And the whole first 2-3 pages was just about this boy walking around school with one, and I was like, this is not appropriate. Like, why are we doing this? So I found that I had to challenge that, and it's just us having to continually look at the online library catalog and say, okay, these ones don't fit the rubric. So what happens is if it doesn't fit the rubric, we submit a challenge, and it goes to the librarian. Mm-hmm. She will look at the rubric and look at the book and say, okay, this book doesn't fit it, and then she weeds it out.
Now, are you sharing this rubric across the state of Texas or nationally?
Well, we're trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to get the word out, but you have to have the right board to do it.
That's true.
If you don't flip your board, nobody's going to do this. Look what's going on in Frisco.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we just had a couple of ladies running for the Joshua Independent School District, and yes, in Frisco, and I was just at an event for the next 2 conservatives that are running there, the Frisco board, and I think it's so important that people start to wake up and look at these suburban independent school districts and realize that this is not just in these major population centers. And we saw where the Texas Education Agency had to take over the Houston Independent School District. I mean, one of the largest in the country. So we have got to get serious about this indoctrination, because who sits around and writes a book called Boners? I mean, don't you think that we should be writing books about math, about science, about proper grammar, how to diagram out a sentence, all these things that our kids really need to be successful, not writing a book about something as insidious as that.
And the way that they think is that we have to get kids excited to read. And if kids want to read about that, then that's okay. At least they're excited to read.
That's so inappropriate.
That's the mindset.
So the mindset then is, if we could get, Playboy into the library and the young boys are excited to read a Playboy, then we've accomplished something.
That was actually one of the questions the other night in one of the hearings. Do you think? Oh no, it was Chip Roy did it. Mm-hmm. Did you see that?
No.
He said, do you think that it's or someone in one of his committees said, do you think that it's appropriate for a teacher to give a child Playboy or a Hustler magazine? And the woman could not answer the question. It's like, where did we go? How far have we slid to where us as adults can't say, heck no, I'm not giving no.
Well, I mean, adults can't even define what a woman is as opposed to a man or whatever. And, we are giving out awards in Women's History Month to biological males. I mean, this is how confused, we have some adults. So what's next for the school board? I mean, have you completely flipped over your school board? There are a couple more seats left?
Well, we're 4-3 right now,
okay,
and we have 2 seats up this year.
Okay.
So we are fighting hard for those. One of the candidates is very left-wing. She said something like, we need to get rid of these racist-ass schools.
Because after all, math is racist.
Yeah, we need to get rid of these racist-ass schools. And her dad is very heavily involved in union work and she has grown up protesting. She is endorsed by the AFT and all these people.
Oh, yeah, the unions.
She's 20 years old.
She knows a lot.
Yeah.
No, I'm not banging 20-year-olds, but a 20-year-old that does not you would think that a 20-year-old would understand a system of education, not indoctrination.
Right.
Because they just matriculated through it.
Right.
But obviously, she is more bent on her ideology.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we have a guy running against her, and he is, he's a great guy. He was on the Keller School Board years ago. Mm-hmm. He's a grandparent, very concerned. Mm-hmm. Great guy. I mean, when you meet him, you love him. And then we have a candidate that is the incumbent, who is a Republican.
Okay, I got you.
You got me?
I got you.
but she either voted or did not vote or abstained for the Guardian program, or did not vote and abstained, I forget the two confused, for the book rubric.
Yeah. No, and again, people got to understand R or D means less and less. It is really about your philosophical understanding and how you see that relation to the citizens, because you cannot be out there pushing this ideology that wants to indoctrinate children. And that has nothing to do with political party, because there are a lot of Republicans that they think that everything's fine in our schools. There are a lot of Republicans that say, you, Kathy May, should not be talking about this book issue because you're going to be the reason why we don't win suburban women. And you're going to be the reason why we don't win elections because you're going in there and you're banning books. You're a bad person.
I'm a book banning Nazi is what I'm called. And it's funny because when I was speaking on Senate Bill 900, if you look at the video, the faces and the people, the representatives, their hands were like this because the things that were coming out of my mouth. And these are things that are happening in our schools. And a lot of parents came and showed up and brought that to their attention.
Well, why would the representatives hide their face or put their heads down?
Because they were ashamed of what was coming out of my mouth, because I was talking about, cotton candy flavored condoms, feces covered.
But they should be ashamed because they have allowed this to happen.
Right.
That should be not the shame on you or that you. They should be ashamed.
Bringing it to their
Absolutely, they should have been ahead of this and known what is going on. Because after all, we have the committee on education and subcommittees and all of these things. So you just kind of ask yourself, what have you guys been doing down there, either in Austin, Texas, or wherever, or again here locally? So it's so important that we have your voice out there. So what's next? We got the school board elections coming up. When's the early voting? When's the actual election?
Early voting starts on April 24th, and I believe it ends May 4th, and then Election Day is on Saturday, May 6th.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm hoping. Some people, I hope they don't get discouraged. They're like, okay, well, we've already flipped the board. We don't need to vote anymore. No, we need to have a very strong board. You see what Southlake just did. Southlake just got out of TASB.
Yep.
Courageous.
And Texas Association of School Boards, TASB, and that is taxpayer funded. And remember, it was the National Association of School Boards that came and went over to the Department of Justice and asked for parents to be declared as domestic terrorists. And our Texas Association of School Boards is still a part of the National Association of School Boards. And so that's why we need to win these school boards positions. And the respective independent school districts started to pull out from the Texas Association of School Board. And we need to defund it.
Yeah.
Taxpayer money should not be going to this organization.
Right. So that's our focus, is just trying to keep it strong and keep our focus on academics and not listen to the noise. There's so much noise out there, and they make a lot of noise, but there's such a minority. But they're so loud.
Well, see, that's the thing. People have not realized. It's kind of like, you shout, and everyone thinks, well, there's a whole bunch of them. It's really a small number. When you go back, and remember in The Wizard of Oz, they said, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
The wizard was just a facade. It was just some little guy back there, pulling switches. And that's what we have to do, and we cannot let up.
We can't.
We got to keep our foot on the pedal because we've got to win all of those school board seats. And then we can really enact all the great things that we need to do and hold superintendents and everyone accountable. Yeah. So after the school board election, if you can look further ahead, what then is your priority? Let's say everything goes well.
Okay. And we win.
You win these next two seats, then what's the priority?
Keeping Keller red. Keeping Keller ISD red, and focusing on academics and just keeping it. And it's something that we can never feel comfortable about. Yeah. We can never relax. Yeah. We can never relax. We always have to get out there and vote. And do it.
The thing is that so often our side goes in peaks and valleys. We ramp up for an election, then we go away. Then we ramp up and we go away. but the other side stays constantly engaged. They're always out there maintaining contact and looking where they can affect change or what have you. So that's the mentality that we have to get.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you for all that you have done here in the Keller Independent School District and what you continue to do as a voice for parents, grandparents, but mostly a voice for our children.
Thank you. And I have to thank you because last time I was here, you said, you know, what do you have hope for? And at that time, I didn't have a lot. But seeing what flipping our school board can do has given me a lot of hope. And I hope it gives a lot of other people hope too. This really needs to get out there that these elections are so important.
Kathy May, what are your closing words to all of the folks out here watching the Steadfast Law podcast?
Flip your school boards. Find conservative candidates. Do not find squishy people. Find people with a backbone that are willing to take the heat, the people that are willing to take the fire. And that's what we need to do. Pay attention to these elections.
Kathy May, it's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure.
And you know, your husband is a recon Marine.
Yep.
I think you're a tougher recon Marine than he is.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, Alan.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, folks.
Before they burn it down.